They want to accrue to themselves the meritorious status that a true scientist or engineer would have generated.
Yes.
Okay, and they do that by setting up a false system that looks like the true system, but doesn't have any of this real world practicality. And They justify that by eliminating the notion of the real world.
Yes. And so in that case, going back to our earlier conversation, in that case, the originator of the parasite is actually getting, literally reproductive fitness.
Right. Well, but is also acting as a parasite on a system that's functional. But then you could say on top of that, now he's allowing ideas to enter his consciousness, and some of those will fulfill the function of producing this faux reality in which he can rise. And so it's a parasitical set of ideas within a parasitical strategy.
Yes, I like it. And by the way, for this particular parasitic sleight of hand to work, it relies actually on a principle that you and I probably teach in sort of the introductory psychology course. So fundamental attribution error, the idea of that people sometimes attribute dispositional traits to otherwise, for example, situational variables or vice versa, right? I did well on the exam because I'm smart rather than because the exam was easy, right? Jacques Derrida, being the brilliant parasite that he was relying on exactly that. And let me explain how. If I get up in front of an audience, so now I'm Jacques Derrida or Jacques Lacan, and I espouse a never-ending concatenation of syllables that are completely void of semantic meaning, but that sound extraordinarily profound, two things can happen. The audience member can either say, I don't understand what Jacques Lacan is saying because I'm too dumb and he's very profound, or I don't understand what Jacques Lacan is saying because he's a charlatan who's engaging in full profundity. Well, guess what? Most people in the audience go for the former, right? When I explained this to my wife, by the way, she said, you know what? You just liberated me from a sense of feeling that I was inadequate in college.
It's really a complicated problem. Like, look, my assumption generally is that it's not always this, that I can't read physics papers in physics journals. I'm not mathematically gifted. And so there are all sorts of scientific and mathematical claims that I can't evaluate.
Yeah.
But most of the time when I read a book, if I don't understand it, I believe that the author hasn't made it clear.
Right.
And I've read some difficult people. I've read Jung, who's unbelievably difficult. Nietzsche, and neuroscience texts, Jaak Panksepp, Jeffrey Gray. Gray's book, Neuropsychology of Anxiety, that bloody book took me 6 months to read. It's a tough book. It's 1,500 references, something like that, and an idea pretty much in every sentence. Very, very carefully written, but a very complicated book. But I read Foucault and I could understand him, but I thought most of what he said was trivial. Of course, power plays a role in human behavior, but it doesn't play the only role. Of course, mental illness definitions are socially constructed in part. Every psychiatrist worth his salt knows that. It's hardly a radical claim. When I hit Lacan and Derrida, it was like, no, sorry, what you guys are saying, it's not that I'm stupid, it's that you're playing a game.
You had enough self-confidence in your cognitive abilities that you didn't succumb to their fundamental attribution sleight of hand, right? So you're one of those rare animals that said, wait a minute, he's saying bullshit because I know that I can think and I'm not getting him. The problem is that most people that are sitting passively in the audience didn't come with your confidence.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe it's that they also didn't have a good alternative. Like, I was fortunate, because by the time I started reading that sort of thing, I'd already established something approximating a career path in psychology, in clinical psychology, with a heavy biological basis. And so, but if I was a student who had encountered nothing but that kind of theorizing, and I was interested in having an academic career, I might well believe that learning how to play that particular language game was valid and also the only route to success. I mean, one of the things that really staggers me about the postmodernist types that I read and encounter is that they have absolutely no exposure to biology as a science whatsoever. They don't know anything about evolutionary theory.
By the way, not just postmodernists, most social scientists,
Yes,
and certainly
yes, of
the ones
course.
walking around in the business school think that biology is some Nazi vulgar.
Oh, it's the same. It's the same in psychology to some degree. But my sense has been that psychology has managed to steer clear of the worst excesses of, let's call it this degeneration into this abandonment of pragmatic
Yeah.
necessity. They've managed to steer clear to that to the degree that the subdisciplines have been rooted in biology. It's actually been a corrective.
It's